Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to give it a couple minutes just to allow people to transition from the waiting room into the main Zoom area. So we will be right with you. All right, we are 2 after, so we will get started today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on maybe your lunch break. We're happy to have you here. Today, we are talking about smart social media and paid ads, how AI is changing the game, and it certainly is. I am going to be your presenter today. My name is Bethany Quinn. I am president of Golden Shovel Agency. And for those of you who are not familiar with Golden Shovel is a full service strategy and communication firm that specializes in economic development. So economic development is all that we do. We have been in business for over 16 years, completed over 300 successful projects, have clients in 41 states, and something I am incredibly proud about is our 95% client retention rate. So the bottom line is we understand economic development. We understand the challenges that you face intimately. And we're really happy to share our expertise and insight with all of you, just because we know that as economic developers, you are very often working with a incredibly small team and also limited financial resources. So if you are going to do marketing, it needs to work for you, right? And staying on top of AI trends is really important because if you have a limited budget or you have limited time and bandwidth, you need to make sure that anything you're allocating is going to have the best possible results for your organization and obviously for your community. So let's talk about what we're going to cover today. We are going to look at the state of marketing, where are we at today, where are we at right now. Again, Golden Shovel is uniquely situated because we have a very experienced marketing and communications team. We handle marketing and communications for economic development organizations. So we have the expertise in marketing, but also the understanding of economic development. Because if you speak with a marketing firm who's marketing products for consumers or businesses, it's a completely different audience and game. So what we want to talk about today is really how this impacts you, not just marketing in general. We're also going to be talking about AI's role in social media, smarter paid ads, tips for getting started for working with some of these AI tools, and give you some resources and tools you can use as well. And also, of course, talk about the human component because AI is definitely not ready to replace all of us, regardless of what it may seem like sometimes. So we have quite a bit to cover today. So talking about the state of marketing, you see this quote here from the CEO of Google. And as I was saying, the future of AI is not about replacing people, it's about augmenting human capabilities. And that is absolutely true. So if you came to this webinar hoping I'd be able to say, hey, AI can just take it all over for you now and run with it, unfortunately, if that was your hope, that is not the reality. AI is going to be able to augment what you do, make your life easier in some ways, and we're going to highlight that today, but it's certainly not at a place where we're going to be handing over the keys anytime soon. I wanted to include this quote from John Murphy of Coca-Cola, who's saying that, even at one of the largest companies in the world, they are using new technology and embedding it more and more into their marketing equation. But even with them, AI is augmenting what they're doing. It's becoming part of their process, but it's not taking everything over. And so one of the challenges that all of us have to really adapt to is what is the best way to augment these AI tools into our daily work, rather than looking at it as being that replacement. And one of those areas is, of course, in ad buying, which we're going to talk about today. As the Wall Street Journal wrote about, AI is going to dominate ad buying, whether marketers like it or not. The good news is for economic developers who do operate with really lean teams, having AI augment what you can do is actually going to be hugely beneficial, versus maybe some people who are accustomed to only doing ad buys, right? Like if that was your sole job, it might be a little bit intimidating to look at what AI is doing, but for people in our industry, this is a good thing. It's a good sign because it means that our small teams can do more with less. All right. So one of the things that we need to start with today, though, when we're talking about the impact of AI on marketing, is we really need to look at how search results have changed. This is one of the biggest areas of impact that has already influenced who is being exposed to your website and marketing efforts and how much traffic you're getting through to your site. Many of you may have seen that there's already dips in your traffic. So this is something that it's really important to understand how these changes work and what you can do about them. So starting with traditional search. So this is the world we've been living in for the past, say, 20 years. So people type in their query into Google, for example, they get results and potentially click through. So obviously the goal was to try to use a combination of SEO strategies and paid ads to get to the top of those search results and hopefully drive traffic through to the website, because the search results were going to be rather limited, right? A website may come up and you may have a small preview, but it's not going to answer your question. So you're going to have to click through to the website to get the information that you need. The difference between that process and AI-powered search is that now people are typing in a question and the AI is synthesizing all the information that's available online in order to produce an answer. So instead of making a recommendation for, hey, here's the website you should go to get your answer, to get your information, AI is actually providing some of those answers directly in the search responses, linking to websites that people can then go to get more in-depth answers. But that is a really, really big shift, and it is changing traffic to websites. So I wanted to give an example for you here. So typing in the query, what is the most affordable state for electricity, right? That's something that may come up if you are a site selector or a manufacturing company, and electricity is something that's one of your higher costs, right? You might want to get that information when looking for the next site for your business expansion. So in the past, if you had typed this up, there would have come up a lot of different sites that are going to talk about electricity prices in some capacity, and people may have to click through multiple sites in order to get the full answer that they want. Now, this is what AI produced. So you can see that AI immediately recommended North Dakota, and it gave a reason why, and then it recommended 3 additional states: Utah, Idaho, and Nebraska. Now, is that information all 100% accurate? Probably not, right? Because there's nuances that play into who's going to have the most affordable electricity for a particular type of industry, for example, based on their usage and maybe what their combination of renewable and traditional sources are. So there's a lot that's going to play into this. But the bottom line is, if you are looking for a fast answer, now you can get that fast answer just from the AI results without having to go through to a website. And then, of course, you see these little links right here. You can click through to read more. Now, there's still responses that show up underneath this, but as you can visualize, right? If before somebody typed in a query and they got limited information on the response, mostly links and a preview, they may have clicked through to say 3, 4 sites in order to get that information. Now what's happening is people get that overview in AI. So instead of clicking through to 3 or 4 sites, what they're doing is they're more likely to click through to one of the links, maybe that AI has recommended, maybe two, right? In order to dig a little bit deeper. So there's a lot less traffic that's being directed to websites now, but the people who are visiting those websites are typically more serious and looking for specific answers to go deeper based on the actual source that was presented. So it's a change in behavior that we all need to become accustomed to and prepare for, because if you don't, you're going to miss out. So a lot of this comes down to now that AI visibility score to make sure that your organization, your community, what have you, shows up in those AI responses. So your AI visibility score is obviously going to determine whether or not you do. And so because AI is looking at providing answers, you have to consider, as an economic development organization, are you a trusted source? How often are you talked about? And that is something that is a huge shift for the industry. Is if you want people to go through to your site because you want to show up as being the person providing the answers, economic development organizations are going to need to start focusing on increasing their visibility as well, not just the visibility of their community. Again, huge shift. With the economic developers that we work with, I've been here at Golden Shovel for almost a decade, so I've had the privilege of speaking with so many of you. One of the challenges I hear all the time is our community doesn't really know what we do. They don't know how we're a resource. They don't know when to contact us. And really making that jump to prioritize promoting your own organization and the expertise that you have is something that now with these shifts is going to pay dividends. So I encourage you to have these internal conversations and start thinking about how you can increase your own visibility. So that way other organizations are referencing you, linking back to you. For example, getting more interviews in local papers and publications that position you as an expert is going to be important. I do want to just expand a little bit too on what I was saying about a change in user behavior. So with AI users and traditional search, there is a difference in bounce rates, in pages viewed, but there's also a higher conversion rate. And this is what I was saying, is that a lot of people who are going to your sites now, they may be fewer of them. They may view fewer pages, like this data points out, but we are seeing higher conversion rates when they actually do land on your website. And that's probably because by the time they go there, they've already gotten enough information from AI that they know that a website is going to have the information they need and that they're receiving it from a trusted and reliable source, which is where positioning yourself as an expert becomes more and more important. So the reason I do want to focus on this, though, a little bit as well, is if you are reviewing your analytics and you are seeing that you're not getting as much traffic as you used to, do not dismay. It is really just the trend that everyone is seeing. So it's a matter of making sure that the traffic that does come to your site is going to engage because you have the information that they need. All right, so let's talk about AI's role in social media and some of the changes that we're seeing there. So I wanted to begin today by talking about LinkedIn, just because as economic developers, this is where so much of your social media marketing efforts need to be focused, given that LinkedIn is going to be the primary social media platform used by business decision makers and also by site selectors, so some of your primary audiences. So one of the things to note with LinkedIn is that organic reach has gone down there as well. So you're going to kind of see this trend, right? AI, at least temporarily, is causing exposure to go down. Reach has gone down, site visits are going down. But there are some nuances that you can know to try to help combat that, which we're going to talk about today. 50% of LinkedIn's posts are now AI assisted. So I did want to point that out to you guys as well. We're going to be talking about that. But if you have been leery about using AI to help with some of your social media, don't be. It is very, very common across the board now, with 50% of LinkedIn posts using AI in some capacity. So when I talk about the decrease in visibility on LinkedIn, 40%, that's a huge drop. It's not all bad news if you know what to do. So the company pages, your organization pages, are getting fewer views than they used to. The biggest drop has been on those company pages. Personal profiles are now performing better under LinkedIn's new algorithm. So what I highly recommend is that the content continues to be shared on your organization page, but then you as an economic development director or a team member reshares that content. You need to be more engaged on the personal level to go in and share everything that you're posting to make sure that you get that visibility. And, it's interesting. Again, I'm talking about that shift in positioning ourselves and our expertise correctly. Just like you need to do that for the organization, it's time to also do that for yourself, and just making sure that you are looked at as a trusted resource, and you're also sharing and posts on social media. You are engaging more on LinkedIn and not leaving it just up to the organization page, because if you do, you're going to have a decreased impact with LinkedIn's latest algorithms. There's also different types of content that you can start sharing on LinkedIn in order to increase visibility. So carousels and video content are outperforming other types of content now by 1.6 times. So this is new. For those of you who've been on our social media webinars before, in the past, those longer form articles were performing the best, and then video, and now we're looking at video and carousel. So it's really important that you stay on top of what those trends are so you can be responsive and, of course, benefit from the changes. So here is an example of a carousel post that our team created for a client that wanted to highlight what's happening with a manufacturing site. So you can see with the arrow, people basically scroll through, they go from slide to slide. And it makes sense, right? You're getting more information with a carousel than you would with a just standard social media post, but you're not having to read a longer article. So it's still really fast for people. And that may be one of the reasons why these are performing so well. Here's another example, and with my screen, I'm not sure if the text is big enough, but I love this idea. Our team came up with this "Do you want to be rich" carousel. And so you can see the first one says, "Do you want to be rich?" And then the next one is "Rich in time," then "Rich in new experiences," "Rich in community," "Rich in health." And then the last one is, "If that's the kind of rich you're after, Stutsman County, North Dakota is the place for you." So again, it's getting people to scroll through with images and enough text that keeps them hooked and interested. So they're spending more time actually viewing and engaging with your social media content rather than just a static image that they can scroll through. So even if you just make that slight adjustment to your strategy, you could make the impact on LinkedIn less severe than the 40% drop that they're seeing. And hopefully if you're using better types of content that gets more engagement, you won't see as big of a drop or any drop. The other thing is, of course, social media videos. Those are performing really well on LinkedIn. And I wanted to show you that you can do this with stock imagery, or you can do this with professional videography, right? So again, I know that budgets and bandwidths vary across organizations. So this first example I want to show you, again, it performs well, it's video, but everything here was created with stock. I want you to see that it's possible. I'll pause it there so you have to go through the whole thing, but this was created on Canva. So one of the things we said in this webinar is we were going to show you how you can use tools to create better marketing materials, smarter marketing materials with limited budget and bandwidth. So Canva was used to create this entire video. If you don't have professional video, you can see how there was some at the very beginning that was some AI generated stock video content, and then things are animated and we have images that are inserted. So, if you don't have the money to hire a professional videographer, you can use some of these AI tools to help you create short social media content. This next one is an example from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, where they did have professional videography captured that was used to create a social post. Oh, got to go back, guys. I went too far ahead. Technology. All right, here we go. So you can definitely see the difference, right? And if you do have the capability of getting professional videography, that's obviously a great way to go, right? Because you saw real people in the community engaged in real activities. But even if you do have that, the bottom line is that you can use some AI editing tools to help you create more. But again, don't let that be an obstacle. Create video using Canva if you need to, just to at least get some attention on your posts and what you're sharing. All right, so another thing that's happening with LinkedIn is their AI-driven advertising enhancements are definitely helping with advanced targeting. So early adopters saw that they had a 21% reduction in cost per lead using these AI changes that LinkedIn implemented. That's really good news because LinkedIn has always been the most expensive social media platform to advertise on. And actually, in my mind, digitally, it's been the most expensive, just hands down. And that's been because LinkedIn does let you target by industry and also target by position. So for our organization, for your industry, our industry, that's really helpful because if somebody is not in a managerial position, they're not going to make a site decision for your community. That's not helpful for you. So with LinkedIn, being able to target that specificity can produce better results, but it's still really expensive. So a 21% reduction in cost per lead is a really good sign. We're very encouraged by that and hope that their AI tools will continue to reduce the cost of LinkedIn advertising, because that will remain, in our estimation, one of the best places for economic developers to invest their money. So speaking of Meta, so Facebook and Instagram, there are more click-throughs if you do use their AI features when you're creating your campaigns. So 11% higher click-through rates, and using their built-in AI features is not going to take you more time, it's going to take you less time. So you can launch a campaign faster and you're also going to get better results. So again, we're very encouraged by this. When you have a small team, why spend more time to get fewer results? That's not beneficial. So we're going in the right direction with both LinkedIn and with Meta in regards to their ads and how you're going to get more visibility. And then you also have a 7.6% higher conversion rate for campaigns created with generative AI. So it's built in. You should be using it if you're not already. That's a really good sign. And what's nice about Meta's AI tool is that they are helping with ad creation and content generation as well. And it seems like consumers are appreciating the changes as well, because Meta's apps are continued to be used by more people, 5% increase year over year for user engagement. One of the things that Meta is really recommending is that you animate social posts when possible. That is going to get more views on what you're doing, even if you're not paying for ads. So if you're putting out organic content, I'm going to play for you this animated social post that was animated on Canva as well. We have a full design team at Golden Shovel, so I don't want you to think that we create everything in Canva, but our job today is to provide you with some tools you can use on your own if you're not working with an agency like ours. So that's why I wanted to show you how you can take a regular post and you can animate it. See, so not too complicated. We'll hit play again so you can watch it. So you can see how the pictures of who's speaking or presenting fly in and out, how you have the download and the scalable solutions show up. So again, it's really obvious why that's going to catch people's attention, right? If I have a static picture, I can just scroll through it quickly versus my eyes catching something that's flying in and out. So animating your post does not take very much time, and it is a very effective way to increase your visibility. All right. Another update I wanted you guys to know about when it comes to social media is that YouTube has changed with the use of AI to allow for more interactive content. So we have found as an organization that when we're running digital ad campaigns for economic developers, that YouTube has always performed very well if you have video content. The challenge with YouTube has always been, are people going to watch and then click through to your site? Because the interactions haven't been great. So this is also trending in the right direction where you're able to embed more links directly onto those videos, and it is increasing the number of people that are then watching the YouTube video and then going through to the website. So that's something that's going to be really useful as we and all of you continue to run talent attraction campaigns, for example. YouTube videos are very powerful for talent attraction. So you can see social media is headed in the right direction with smarter paid ads with AI. Let's talk about that. Again, if you're spending money on ads, we want to know that your money is being spent well. So Google has made a lot of changes to their advertising platform, and AI has been integrated across the board. There are specific things that will be valuable for economic developers, and one of them is really a more intense focus on being able to segment based on demographics and devices. Our industry, you don't need to have a ton of traffic because again, you're not Coca-Cola, right? You're not Nike, you're not selling this product. You're looking at trying to reach a very small niche audience, and you need the right people to visit you. So that's true whether you're doing business attraction or talent attraction. So really making sure that you can hone in on better targeting is going to have increased results. Also, the ability to, at a campaign level, to block those negative keywords is going to be helpful. And one of the changes that you should definitely be aware of and use is AI Max for their campaign type, because that is going to help you with smart matching. It has real-time learning, so that way your ads can be improved as you're running them. Also, they have an AI mode with a chatbot-like search experience, which is going to be beneficial for you as well if you're trying to run a very large campaign. And talking again about tools that you guys can use that are available using AI, I wanted to include a picture of what's available on the Google Ad platform. So I'm not sure if this is big enough for you guys to see. I hope that it is, but I'm going to read the text a little bit just in case you can't see all of it. So when you have your ad running, obviously you want images to be attached to it. So they will recommend an image from your website and also give you AI generated images that you can use with your campaigns. So that's actually a really cool addition, just because your website may not have all the photographs that you would like it to have right now, right? That's something we're always trying to work with our clients on, is getting enhanced images. So the ability for Google to offer the AI generated image right there in the ad creation is really going to save you a lot of time. It also means you don't have to dig for a stock image if you don't have one already that you want to use. And AI is also suggesting headlines and descriptions, which can be used to enhance your ad performance. So these are all great things to start using right away. Additional visual tools are, Google PMax, obviously, and VO. Those are things that you could also try. The hope is, of course, you can have more time to actually launch the ads if you're not having to spend quite as much time hunting some of those things down. Another benefit to the Google Ads changes that are powered by AI is better data on the back end. So increased reporting that's going to help you to really drill into which creatives or combinations are performing the best, including, just that level of segmentation. So that way you know how to allocate your budget going forward, because you might have various messaging you're testing out that might not all perform. So we get better data now than we used to. All right, so I did talk about human and machine collaboration. So let's talk about that, right? Can you hand over the keys to AI? The answer being no. So it's really important that you, as an economic developer, us as an economic development communications company, that you really spend time thinking through who your audience is, what they care about, what you have to offer, and how you can help them. So AI is really good at synthesizing information. AI can help you to come up with ideas and even help with some asset creation, but AI doesn't see the full picture like you do. And AI is also completely dependent on the prompts and the information that you share with it. So that makes you, as an economic development expert, incredibly important to this equation. It's that whole saying, garbage in, garbage out, right? If there is somebody that's working on your campaigns that doesn't understand economic development or what your audience cares about, AI is not going to be able to make up for that, because they're not going to be able to give them the appropriate prompts. And I did want to show you even some examples, right, of what AI can do. So there are still some challenges, specifically in the graphics area with AI. So AI will very often misspell words or create strange spaces in between letters, so that way it's not readable. So if you are using AI for image generation, my recommendation to you is that you probably don't try to have any words on that picture. The other thing is that, of course, AI does not have our ethical framework that we have as people. And so you want to make sure that you read through everything before it's published to make sure that there's no offensive content. AI just might not understand nuance. And, at Golden Shovel, because economic development is all we do, even our content team, we're always cognizant of asking our clients, what are some of the issues happening in your community we need to be aware of? Because there's always these kind of like little political landmines, so to speak, that are happening based on stakeholders' points of view. AI is not going to understand that. So I really, really encourage you that even if you have AI producing content, please review it before you share it with the world, just to make sure that you're protected, right? And then obviously just there's still some image distortion. So like if you look at this, AI created this image, the people in the front look pretty great. But then as you go back, it's almost like a painting where their images start to get distorted. And I know you guys know this, right? Like if you look at some of the oil paintings, you're going to see really clearly up front, and then you look in the back and it's going to be more muted, more distorted. And AI is actually kind of following that same pathway. So again, with AI image creation, you want to try to keep it simple. You want to try to avoid words. Eventually, AI will catch up. It's just not quite there yet. And this is obviously a little bit better too, because it's more cartoony. If you're trying to have AI generate for you from scratch a picture with real human faces that looks authentic, you're going to run into a few more challenges, but it can still be done. Canva, again, has some tools that can create those for you. All right, and I did want to show you an example of an AI video This is just an example that we created for our community. So it's not in use, but I wanted to show you what's possible. And we actually used a couple different AI platforms to generate this video. So here we go.
Ingleside is on the Gulf of Mexico with access to the Port of Corpus Christi and a 552-acre site for development.
All right. So we talked about these short social media videos, and I think that's where AI has a lot of potential to help you. The challenge with the AI video creation is length. So we've used a lot of different AI tools, and we're actually going to be sharing with you guys that resource checklist that we talked about for you to try them on your own as well. And some of the things that our team has noticed is that the length has to be really short, because even if the platform advertises that you can make full movies and these really long videos, it usually doesn't work. So you may be just sitting there waiting for it to deliver something to you that may never come. But AI video creation can be really good at creating short clips like this one, right? Where it's just very limited text, enough to put something out on social media to try to gain more visibility. Um, what we have found is that these tools also have some limiting editing capacity, so you may have to use multiple tools. So the first one on this video actually had the AI generated person speaking. So the text was provided, you describe the type of individual you want to speak, and they're sharing that information. But then that platform that has the person who can speak on your behalf does not have the ability to add in the map at the end, right? So it has to be saved and then transferred over into Canva where you can add the map. So we're going to give you guys links to some of these different things to experiment with, but that's just what I would keep in mind, is that if you're looking for something that is a longer than, maybe 20, 30 seconds, AI probably is not where you're going to want it to be quite yet, right? Unless you want to spend days and days trying to perfect it. In that sense, it's probably still better to work with a professional videographer who can create video content for you. But if you want to get some social media videos out right away, this is a great tool for you to experiment with. So you'll be getting all of those links and resources. And I'm excited to see.
Ingleside is on the Gulf of Mexico with access to the Port of Corpus Christi and a 552-acre site for development.
I played that one more time so you could see that she did a pretty good job, right? Her lips were in line with the text. Some of these tools, because we've tried probably 20 of them in the last month, a lot of them, the lips, just they don't match the text. So you got to be careful with that, right? Because that just throws people off when they're watching. All right, so I wanted to give you guys some tips for getting started. Again, you'll get resources from us, but let's talk about what to do now. So I encourage all of you to monitor your website to see how it's coming up on a search, to see if you are viewed as a trusted source. You also should use the AI tools we talked about for creativity, like Canva, Adobe, and Google's built-in asset generator. And then use Performance Max in order to really get the segments that are going to convert, so that way your ads perform better. The next thing you need to think about is, remember, AI is ranking outcomes. So does your content answer questions or help users to complete a task? Because AI is looking at engagement, not clicks. Again, this is very different goal than you've probably had for your website that we have had, right? Is that we still want people to go through to your website. You still want people to go through to your website, but AI is looking at, okay, are people engaging with this content? Are we providing the valuable answers? And you need to know that so that you can make sure you do in order to benefit your site's visibility. So some things to think about is, does your site answer questions like the who, the what, the when, the where, the why? It goes back to probably many of you remember your English literature days, right? Like your descriptive essays. You have to be able to answer these questions and describe these things clearly. And that's going to help you to increase your AI visibility score. So breaking this down even further, it really comes down to becoming a trusted source. So I recommend all of you to just pause for a second while I get a drink of water and write down 3 things you want to become a trusted source on? What do you want to become a trusted source about? And that is basically is why should people go to you? Whether they are a business owner in your community, whether they are a realtor or site selector, whether they are a family who's looking for a new home, whatever it is that you're prioritizing, or a housing developer, what have you, why should they come to you? What do you want to be an expert on? All right. So now you need to think about who on your team can speak to those three things. Who is your expert? This is really, really important. Is your expert on your team, or is it a partner that you can obviously collaborate and work with? Somebody needs to be your expert on those three things. Because again, if AI is looking at engagement and do you answer questions, you can't answer and provide surface level information. That's not going to fly. It has to be a deep dive. So again, you guys know your stuff. You know what you're doing. It's time to now elevate your profile and your team's profile so that you can be viewed as an expert and answer those questions. And then determine who is going to create the content on your team. Your expert very often is not going to be the person who has the bandwidth to create this content, right? And to create the assets you need to share online. Your expert on your team may be somebody who's incredibly good with crunching the financial data and the economics of how do we bring in incentives and what's the impact of job creation, and or they may be somebody who's really, really good at getting businesses through the permitting and approval process, right? But if they're out there doing those things, if they're very busy doing those things, they may not have time to sit down at the computer and create this content. So it may be something you have to work with collaboratively as a team, or work with an organization like us to create the content for you. Once it's created and you have used your expert to answer questions, important questions, it has to be structured correctly so that AI does recognize the questions being answered, the information being shared. And so there's just some tips that you need to think about when you're structuring that content, such as using the appropriate headers as you go. And of course, it has to get published on your website. It's no good if it's not on your website. Next, you need to develop animated social media posts, carousel posts like we went through, and social videos that can link back to that expert content and promote it, because you want to drive traffic. And the way that you're doing that is you're also showing AI that this is valuable information. You are answering questions because people are clicking through one platform and going through to your website. Also, if you can get your partners to share this content, that's going to be of value to you and give further indication that you are a trusted source. And then, of course, you want to run AI enhanced ads to direct people to your expert content for a seamless experience. So that is the first thing I recommend all of you doing. And now if we go and look at resource and tools, we wanted to share with you a few other AI enhanced tools that you could be using right away. So AI is definitely effective at media monitoring, tracking how your brand is being mentioned and utilized across platforms. Here are three that we recommend that you can check out, of course, and that will also be in our checklist that we send. Also, the more insight you have, the better. So we recommend using a tool like AlphaSense, who's going to be able to help you streamline your research and understand sentiment. They have free trials. So that's why we included that, because I'm always looking for stuff you guys can do at no cost. I know your budgets are limited. And then, of course, we also have a free white paper that will give you in-depth recommendations for how to use AI and ChatGPT to streamline your marketing efforts and to achieve more with less. So if you have your phone out, go ahead and scan that QR code. We will also provide you with a link in our email recap. So I hope that you all found this informative. I will tell you this is changing very rapidly, so we'll probably do another one of these in the next 6 months. just because I imagine that a lot of the tools we talk about today are going to be changed and enhanced in that short period of time. It's really pretty incredible how quickly AI is moving. All right, and with that, Victor, would you let me know if there's any questions to review?
Um, yes, of course. We get a couple. The first one is about many EDOs are working on developing potential but not yet realized new clusters in their communities. How can they get future potential developments into AI fits to help make those developments happen?
Yeah, so you want to know basically the future that you haven't created yet. How are you going to have AI help you to paint that picture? I think one of the things I'll go back to being a trusted source. So even if you don't have a lot of a particular industry right now, that doesn't mean that you can't research and understand what that industry needs. And you could become a trusted source on addressing those needs and tying it into that industry. So for example, on the infrastructure side, their water, their energy needs, the transportation side, what that looks like, the workforce side, what that looks like, the ecosystem, what that looks like, and really thinking through if you were a decision maker in that industry, what would you care about and what would you need to know? How does your community then tie into each of those elements and making sure you have the content on your website for it and that you're using social media and ads to then direct back to it? That's going to be really, really critical. And one of the things that I know a lot of economic developers struggle with, having worked through this process so many times, is that aspirational side versus the reality and not wanting to appear that you're misleading anyone because you're very, very honest, right? You don't want to mislead anyone. And so this is a good way to do that, to be able to share information, become the trusted source without making it appear that you're conveying your target industry that you're going after is more highly represented in your community than it actually is.
Excellent. Okay, the next question is this is a good one. Which social media platforms are best for business attraction versus attracting labor residents or showing a community's quality of life?
Great question. So LinkedIn for business attraction, 100%, because that is where business decision makers are. And it's really important that, again, you're sharing information that's going to be relevant to them. Just another reminder from the earlier slide, make sure you're sharing content on your personal profile as well as the business one. Now with LinkedIn ads, that's where you're going to reach those business decision makers because you can target by industry and by position within the company. So great resource for business attraction. On the talent attraction side, we are seeing a lot of success, more than anything with social media videos. And so when we're running campaigns for our clients, we're running them on Meta's platforms, which of course are Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. And TikTok has performed really, really well. TikTok is a little bit tricky right now with, if you don't have a profile right now, unless it's changed in the last week, you weren't able to create a new one. But TikTok has performed very, very well. And we're looking at several other social media platforms that share short video content that's going to be used to kind of replace some of that if TikTok fully goes away. But if you were going to start just one place, you can start with Meta because if you are to publish content and ads, just that one platform, you'll be able to get onto 2 different sites on Facebook and Instagram. So it's a good use of your time.
Oh, hey, excellent. Here's another one. Do you have to worry about any copyright issues with AI generated images?
So interestingly, no, which is kind of crazy. So again, if AI is creating it, in a sense, AI is creating it from scratch. But I was actually talking to, and I'm not a lawyer, so I want to put that out there right now. Okay, if you do want a full legal answer, please consult legal counsel. But I was actually speaking with our CEO about this just a couple weeks ago. Many of you know Aaron. And it's crazy that AI is actually able to pull even known brands like little Lego characters into their image creation. And so far, the courts have not ruled that it's copyright infringement. Now, of course, the legal system changes, that could change. But as of right now, anything we're seeing is that they have not ruled it's copyright infringement.
All right, and one more. I think that this is another good one. Can the redesign of a Golden Shovel website incorporate the AI configuration you mentioned? It seems the future is more about text on the website than graphics, although we always like good looking sites.
Yeah, so that is tricky, right? Because we always struggle with the balance, just candidly, we always struggle with the balance of visual appeal and text because when people land on a website and they don't see a lot of that visual element, very often they don't want to stay because it's not engaging, right? And that's why we try to incorporate a lot of graphics. What I'm recommending is that in addition to what, obviously the homepage looking really, really sharp, is to start doing really long form FAQ pages where you're answering every question that could come up about your community and starting to add more long form content into subpages. Because if AI is viewing that FAQ page or the long form content and pulling the answers into their search results, you're still getting traffic through to your website. They may go directly to that page, they may view the name and go to your homepage. But that is the best way from what I'm seeing right now. That's the best way for you to have both that high impact design. Because again, if people can't visualize your community, they're probably not going to be interested in coming there either. But to still allow you to come up in those search results through the long form content. If you are a Golden Shovel Gatekeeper client, if you have a gatekeeper and content writer, our content team would be very happy to develop that long form content to add to your website. And if you're not, we'd love for you to be one.
All right. What program would you recommend to use for the short AI video creation?
Yeah. So it depends on the type that you want. Veo has been pretty effective. We also recommend using HeyGen. HeyGen is really good for those talking heads. So I would try both. And you will want to pay for the subscription in order to really get a lot of resources there. They're not very expensive. I think it's running like $20 a month, and you could kind of compare and see the types of videos that you prefer. But I will tell you that just from what I've seen and what our team has experimented with, they don't come out in a way that you don't want to do any editing. You're still going to want to take it into a tool and be able to add some, contact information or some different closing slides. And so if you were to use Veo or HeyGen, you could then download the video that you're creating, and then you could upload it into Canva and you can add some of those additional elements. So you probably should want to use two in order to get them ready to share.
Thank you, Bethany. I think you got the last one. It says at the beginning you mentioned that we need to rethink traditional measurement of website analytics. Do you know how to measure these things? Are there methods or tools available yet?
Yeah, so that is obviously a really good question. And I would say just the warning, a lot of this is evolving. So it's hard because we've all been used to doing things a certain way for so long, and now it's turned on its head. And I would guess that it's probably going to take a couple years to settle back down. But because of the fact that traffic has gone down and conversions are more important, it's really necessary to create pathways to interact with you on your website. So making sure that phone numbers are really visible, that people can click to call you is important. You can integrate chatbots onto your website. That's another great feature. All of our websites are going to have that capability, just so you guys know, this year. So that's something that I recommend. And we're seeing that a lot of those with the different AI algorithms, that can be great because those chatbots can direct people back to even more specific information for why they're visiting the site. And then one of the processes that we've always looked at for lead generation is how do you get people to take the next step? And so creating forms on your website that people fill out to get something of value can be a game changer. We have a lot of clients, just for example, with Talent Attraction, we have a client in Kansas who we built a campaign around this. They had a form on their website. People filled out the form to get information on different, relocation incentives that they might qualify for example. And so people didn't just go to the website, get an answer and leave. It was, okay, you've gotten an answer. There's something here for you. You need to fill this out in order to get more details. So that's really, I think, going to be important to consider is what could you offer people that are visiting your site to get them to take that next step and to make contact with you.
Excellent. Well, I don't see any other questions coming in, so I think you answer everything.
Awesome. Well, thank you for moderating, Victor. I appreciate it. And thanks to all of you for being here. You will receive a follow-up email later this week with a link to all of this information and to the AI checklist that can walk you through maybe starting to make some of these changes or utilizing these tools on your own. And of course, at Golden Shovel, we are here to assist you with anything and everything. If you have questions, if you need to brainstorm some things, please reach out to us. You can see Laura Christie's information right here. She's a great person to contact. If you are a client with a gatekeeper and content writer and want to try some of these different things, please let them know. They'd be happy to help you with implementation. Thank you all. Have a great day.